It seems my video is kind of going on and off or freezing. So let's see how it works.
And you being in downtown Coldwater. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
How do you say your last name so I don't pronounce it wrong?
Oh, it's a French last name. It's Patenaude. It's not a very easy
Patenaude.
thing to say in
Oh, we do
English.
say the D. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Can you do me a favor, Stacy? Can you give us the presentation in French, please?
Would you like for me to? I can.
Absolutely.
Patenaude.
Does everybody speak French on the council?
No.
He doesn't even speak French. He's teasing you. I got grade 12 French.
I can rhyme you off the verbs. Je sens, no, je sens, no, tu es, il est. That's all I learned.
We can sing the national anthem.
Nous sommes.
You'll be okay at a hockey game then.
Where are you? Are you not in Quebec, are you?
I am based in Montreal.
How are things in Montreal?
Things in Montreal are good.
Are you inviting council for a big corned beef sandwich?
Oh, you mean a smoked meat sandwich?
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, smoked meat.
Oh, and how good is it?
I mean, it's good, but you can have one only every once in a while because you feel terrible after.
Come on. What about a knish? Do they have knishes there?
No, I've never heard of them.
Well, any of the shops has knishes.
Can you give me 1 second? I do need to take this call and I will explain in just 1 second.
We have openings and things. Don't worry. You're okay.
You speak in French, none of us will understand.
You can, and we've hit 9 o'clock, so.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We have a planning and development meeting this morning, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? We have no public meetings, but we have a delegation. Please be advised that in accordance with the council's procedural bylaw, no decision will be made today on the delegations. The committee will do one of the following: refer the matter to staff for a report, refer the matter to future budget deliberations, or take no actions. So today we have Stacy Patenaude from CP Rail, CP Transportation Network, Rail Safety Service and Emergency Response. Welcome, Stacy. And
Thank you.
I don't know if you wanted to speak first and then we could ask questions, or how did you want to do this?
Yeah, so I just want to preface, and this is why my phone is ringing. I just spoke with Wilson. Today is actually a really, really huge day for CP. When I scheduled this meeting, I was not aware of what would be going on today. We started this about 2 years ago, the acquisition of Kansas City Southern, which is another rail line based out of Kansas City, and it's a $33 billion merger. And we have been expecting the decision for the last month. It needs to be approved out of Washington, D.C. by the Surface Transportation Board. And that decision is supposed to come out in the next 2 hours. So we would be becoming a new company altogether. We'd be a brand new company. And given that I'm responsible for media relations, my phone has been ringing off the hook. So I will be much briefer than usual because of what's going on. And I hope you all look forward to reading the news, because this will probably be on every big newspaper this afternoon. So it's a big day for us.
Will you still be called CP Rail?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
we will unveil the new branding. It's a huge day. It's really a historical day for us. I started getting emails out of Calgary at 5:45 Eastern time. So everyone is just on the edge of their seats. So I will be very, very brief. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we found out last night that the decision would be coming down.
That's okay.
Today, 11. So okay, I'll start from the top. I'm a little distracted with everything that's going on. I'm being asked to review press releases and stuff. But I really just wanted to introduce myself as, responsible for government relations and media relations at CP. So I actually came onto CP about 3 years ago now, at the beginning of the pandemic. They asked me so CP had acquired a rail line in Quebec that went notably through Lac Mégantic. So obviously a lot of sensitivities with regards to anything related to the railway in that community and the surrounding communities. And they asked me to rebuild the relationships with all the communities there. So I did that, and I was responsible for all the community relations in Quebec. And I guess I did that pretty well, because then they said, here, we're going to give you Ontario as well. So they gave me Ontario, and I had been wanting to go out and meet the different communities, but, with COVID restrictions, we were not allowed to travel. And, things started to kind of be a little bit more free at the end of last summer. And then I knew that there were going to be elections in Ontario. So I figured I'd wait until everything had settled, and then I would, introduce myself to the appropriate people, in the communities as CP's government affairs representative. So I should be the city's first point of contact. We are a huge company. We're about to double in size within the next couple of hours. Not quite, but, we're about 16,000 employees. We're going to go up to 20 odd something. So if ever, the city needs anything that is non-urgent, I should be your first point of contact. So that's why I thought it was important to introduce myself. I would have loved to come in person. However, it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of driving around, but I do promise that I will come up and meet you in person, hopefully this summer. So yeah, I really just wanted to introduce myself. I did say I'm your first point of contact for anything non-urgent. If ever there is an emergency, and we hope that there will never be an emergency in your community, but these things do tend to happen. And we know, rail incidents have been in the news quite a bit recently, especially with the incident down in Ohio. CP Police should always be your first point of contact if there's anything urgent. So CP Police, their number, it's a 1-800 number, which I'm happy to provide you with by email after this call, or maybe tomorrow when things might be a little slower on my end. Their phone number is on every crossing. There's a sticker. So if you have crossings in your town, there should be a sticker there. So members of the public, if they see anything, if they see a collision, if they see a spill, if there's a block crossing, that 1-800 number should be their first point of contact. It's dispatched to a call center in Calgary that's 24/7, because sometimes I do sleep. So that really should be the first point of contact for emergencies. And because we don't want, municipalities to be the middleman between questions for the community and CP, we also have a resource called Community Connect. So we have an email address and a phone number where members of the public who are asking, any kind of question about CP's operation, any kind of questions or complaints, they can write to Community Connect, and we have a team of dedicated people that just respond to inquiries from members of the public. That could be anything about train frequency, whistling, asking about property, asking, saying that there's vegetation that needs to be cleaned up, like anything like that. So I will provide you with that information as well, so you can dispatch that to members of the public. The other thing I wanted to touch on is we're all about safety at CP. Safety is foundational to absolutely everything we do. So, that's with regards to our operations, with regards to investments in our infrastructure. But the other thing that's really important is promoting safe behaviors around the railway. So safety is it's a shared responsibility. So we want people to be educated and informed about the dangers of trespassing and being near the railway. So CP's right, like everything that's 25 feet out from the rail line itself is actually CP's right of way. It's our property, it's private property. And there's a misconception that it's kind of public property and people will walk on there or cross at non-designated areas. So we do have our own police force. CP has its own police force. And what we can do is we can come and do some education campaigns in your local schools, especially, with young people, to educate them very young. We also find that elementary school children get very excited when someone shows up in a uniform in their classrooms. And yeah, we do education campaigns around safe behavior, and that's in conjunction with a organization called Operation Lifesaver, which is about rail safety, not just with CP, but with all rail lines, whether it's freight trains or commuter across Canada.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I know we have a few people who have questions for you, so sure. I will open it up to council. The committee. Member Taylor.
Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning.
I'm quite aware of the CPR. It's gone through our township, like in 1905, went through our family farm. But we've had recent events here that when the CPR have scheduled closings for work on crossings, the communication has been poor to non-existent.
Okay.
Just, yeah, to give you an example, on Upper Big Chute Road alone, there's 4 CPR crossings. So
Okay.
when the sign goes up and says, we're going to close the railway crossing on the CPR on Upper Big Chute Road, it could be one of 4. And they all have grave consequences. The last 3 crossings, when it's closed, there's only one way out. And it could add to an hour to get around. So not only inconvenience to the residents, but also emergency services. If they're not aware of what's happening and somehow it's being fumbled because Upper Big Chute Road is a county road, and that's their jurisdiction, but somehow the communication is missing from the CPR to, I'm not sure how it's supposed to go out. And the residents should know, and emergency services and the OPP should know when these scheduled closings are happening and where exactly. So it needs a big improvement there for communication.
So what normally happens is we have a director of public works who is normally responsible for communicating, like they coordinate the road closure with the towns or who covers the road authority. They're director of public works and they're supposed to coordinate. But of course, you know, that information then needs to be communicated back out. So it's like you know, our director of public works with the towns or the road authorities, and then the road authority is supposed to communicate it back to the municipality, and then the municipality chooses how they communicate it depending on the method of communication that they use to communicate with residents. But we can definitely try to improve that and you know, get a system in place. We have a lot of crossings across our network, but we always try our best to, unless it's an emergency repair that needs to be done immediately, we always try to give a heads up because we understand the inconveniences that could cause if there's a road closure.
Yeah, normally in these cases, there have been lots of notice, but very poor communication.
So the communication, we do not communicate back out to the residents ourselves. We don't have the means to do that, right? We rely on collaborations with the municipalities so that the municipalities are then communicating that information back out to the residents, you know, because each municipality is different in the means that they choose to communicate with, right?
Yeah, so the issue there is that the road authority is the county, which is an upper tier. So you're saying it's their issue and not...
No, I'm just saying that we should have a better communication with the county, the municipality, and CP. That information needs to circulate, right? So knowing that if the road authority is not the same as the municipality, then we need to find a better way for that information to be to make its way to you.
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And Stacy, it's the county of Simcoe
Okay.
that we're dealing with.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions? Member Jansen, then Member Burkett.
Through the chair, thank you, Stacy, for your presentation. I do know that train derailment that happened in East Palestine is a hot topic right now. You know, and really, I think it comes down to there are different safety measures in the United States than there are here in Canada. I guess you know, congratulations on the acquisition of Kansas City rail line. I do hope that as the corporation moves into further operations in the United States, that we import our own safety standards from Canada down there. I guess my question comes down to, are we transporting the same type of materials through our communities within Severn Township that could have a potential hazard similar to what's happened in the States?
So I can't speak exactly to the incident. That's a Norfolk Southern incident, right? So totally different rail line. It's something that's still under investigation. But the types, and again, like the acquisition of Kansas City Southern doesn't change anything for the goods, the types of materials that are being transported through the communities. They really are just a function of the economy. So it really is what customers are requesting to ship, right? You know, we get that question a lot, but like if there's any goods that are being transported, it's really just at the request of customers. And there's also there is, by the way, an application called Ask Rail. I'm not sure if your emergency services have this, but it's an application that we give access to only to emergency responders, where basically the way that it works, and I can give a further presentation on this application at another time. if ever there were to be an incident of any kind, they can type in just the number on any rail car, and they can get a full consist of all the goods that are being transported in that train. And then, basically know what's flammable, what's not. It's just like a full consist of what's on the train. We do not share that information publicly for safety reasons, right? Having the general public have that information could be dangerous for, questions of vandalism, for example, or, a whole array of reasons.
Okay, Member Burkett.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair, to Stacy. Thank you for the presentation. Just moving forward with the concerns that Member Taylor had, how do we, your Director of Public Works that reaches out because we're a two-tiered system, so the communication, yes, is probably coming to the county. How do we move forward so that same communication, for whatever reason, the county's not conveying it to us? Is there, later on, could you email your director's information so our Director of Public Works has that, and they can, moving forward, when there is a closure at one of our crossings, they're both on board and he can email our director as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We can share that information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because we have a lot of rail crossings just on our township roads besides the county one. And I wonder sometimes if that's how it works. Is it, they're not miscommunication. But anyway, if you could let us know that, and that
Sure.
Ask Rail, is that an app, Stacy?
Yeah, that's an application.
Okay.
But again, it's only for
like our fire
emergency
chief
responders. They need to sign an NDA when they do sign up for the app. So there's a whole process to go through. But if your emergency responders don't already have that access to that application, then we can have them signed up.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you very much, Stacy. And I know you have to get going, and thank you for letting us know a little ahead of time what's happening. And we'll think of you as we watch all the things on the news today.
Yeah, sorry to be so brief.
Sorry to be so brief. We hope the decision seems to be in our favor.
But it's definitely a really exciting day for us all. And just as we speak now, I'm getting press releases to review in French. So I will put my French to good use, and maybe we could speak a little bit more French next time we convene.
Oh,
okay, thanks so much. Oh, Member Burkett.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Stacy, if you're going to change the name of CP Rail, do you think we can get some of the hats, the old CP hats?
I've actually been wondering what they were going to do with the old logo stuff. I'm not sure yet what's happening with that. I'm sure we have a stockpile of things. I don't know if they're going to go into, like some historic. I have no idea what's happening with that. But when the dust settles, I'll be sure to ask.
Well, and keep us in mind, we'll take 100 of them, please.
Because our little village in Coldwater has been a CP town for hundreds of years. So it would be lovely. We have a museum too.
I can imagine. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Okay, now we're moving on to the consent agenda. Is there any item?
Madam Chair, I just need a motion to receive.
Oh, you need a motion for that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The motion's just that the delegation by Stacy Patenaude, CP Rail, regarding the CP Transportation Network be received for information.
Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Member Taylor, second by Member Minnings. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're moving on to the consent agenda. And is there any items that have been asked to be pulled? Member Taylor.
Yes, E 2.1, please.
E 2.1. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Motion reads that the agenda be adopted, including consent items with the exception of item number E 2.1.
Thank you very much. Mover, please. Member McIntyre, seconder, Member Jansen, all in favor? Carried. So now we'll move on to reports from officials for direction. And it's from Deeming bylaw application 3355 Armand Avenue. Mr. Oster, do you have anything you would like to speak to us about?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and good morning, committee. This application before you this morning is requesting a deeming bylaw to facilitate the merging of the lands occupied by a commercial business within the Westshore settlement area. The lands on which the business are occupied is comprised of multiple lots on a plan of subdivision, and the municipal solicitor has advised that each of the lots are separately conveyable. Since the lands are lots on a plan of subdivision, they will not merge despite being held in common ownership. Without a deeming bylaw being passed to deem them to no longer be lots on a plan of subdivision. The applicant is concurrently going through a commercial site plan control agreement to expand the existing marine upholstery business on the property. The need for the deeming bylaw is resulting from that, as the proposed development is to span over top of multiple of the lots. And if the lots were to remain each separately conveyable, the lot requirements, so the setbacks and lot coverage, those requirements would apply to each lot individually. So a deposit has been provided by the applicant to cover the legal expenses associated with this application already. And staff are supportive of the application and recommend that the committee recommend to council that the bylaw be passed. If you have any questions, happy to answer. Thank you.
Committee, does anyone have any questions? Yes, Member Minnings.
Member Minnings, I believe you're muted if you have questions.
She's working on it.
Thank you. Sorry, the other member will need to mute.
No, he's on mute.
Okay, we're getting a kickback. If you're not, that's okay. I'll continue. My question is through the chair to Brad, just to confirm from the two maps that you attached, thank you very much, that all the properties that you're speaking about are highway facing. Is that correct? I just want a confirmation on that.
Yeah, so through the chair to Member Minnings, that is correct. All of the lots do have frontage on Highway 11.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Member Burkett.
Thank you through Madam Chair to Brad. So moving forward, Brad, that used to be the old Bona Vista Lodge, and I think there's still a vacant lot, just for information for you moving forward, because I know there is a vacant one there. I wonder if there's any severed lots or extra lots on that one vacant one when and if they do apply for a building permit. It's on the other side. It's on Park Street, but there isn't. Just for information for yourself moving forward, because I think this lawyer found that, didn't he? His lawyer found the
through the chair to Member Burkett, the municipal solicitor at the applicant's request did conduct the title search to confirm which lots were separately conveyable. Okay. But yes, it was discovered through the lawyer that there are separately conveyable lots there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, seeing none. Member Minnings.
Thank you through the chair to Brad. Then that one lot that's showing on the map is not being part of the deemed application. Is that owned separately and not by the business? It's just that I'm wondering about the future opportunities for that one lot that's sitting on Beckett Place at Highway 11.
Through the chair to Member Minnings, that is correct. There is one lot on the which has frontage on Beckett and Highway 11, which is separate from the commercial development that is proposed for the marine upholstery business. So it's a residentially zoned lot. So it is separate from the commercial operation, but through the site plan control agreement, there is requirements that are being implemented to make sure that there's appropriate screening and buffering from the commercial business to limit any sort of impacts to that residential property.
So I'm to understand that lot is not owned by the same corporation, or?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can we have a motion, please?
Thank you. The motion reads that planning report number P23-008 dated March 15th, 2023, with respect to a deeming bylaw application for the lands described as lots 71 through 76, Plan 723, known municipally as 3355 Armand Avenue, be received, and that the draft deeming bylaw included as attachment 3 to planning report P23-008 be brought forward immediately. And further, that should council pass the deeming bylaw, that the clerk be directed to provide a certified copy of the bylaw to the clerk of the county of Simcoe per section 5026 of the Planning Act.
May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by member Minning, second by member Jansen. All in favor? Oops, carried. Okay, now we'll go back to 2.1, E2.1 in the correspondence. And member Taylor, you wanted to speak to this?
Yes, hope everyone's had a chance to see the M&R proposed amendments for the floating cottages. And I think it's a great start. I'm hoping the federal agency that looks after vessels will do the same thing. So I'm hoping that after discussion today that the committee would approve a motion stating that the Township of Severn support the proposed amendments to the Public Lands Act.
Thank you very much. Madam CEO, did you want to speak? Thank you.
I did, thank you. I just wanted to give council, if you haven't had a chance to read it, a couple of heads up on it.
Okay.
The ministry had a webinar to just talk about what it was all about. So I attended that last week. So just for council's information, they're changing some rules around camping on water. The big thing that they're trying to achieve is to regulate the floating accommodations. And so the camping designation now excludes floating accommodations. Now I'm going to come back to that in a minute because I think there's a challenge with how they've put it together, but camping in general, over water reduced from 21 to 7 days, increasing the distance that you have to move from 100 meters to a kilometer. And I think that's a big thing because people were just moving to the next little island over. The one that caused the biggest controversy, so it was like a public meeting and the public could ask questions. It's really upset boaters, and I don't know if that's something that council should be concerned about or not, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. So they've prohibited camping on water within 300 meters of developed shoreline. So the boaters were on quite heavily saying, you know, you're impacting all sorts of things and you're trying to regulate the cottagers' views. And it was such a hotly discussed item that in the chat, the boaters were like working on a separate chat of their own, and they were going to come out opposed to that. So I'm not sure if that's a condition that council supports or doesn't support, but two things of interest. And I think the member Taylor hit the nail on the head. Doesn't apply to the Trent Severn waterway. So we should be, if you're going to support it, also saying to the federal government that they should do something the same. But the most interesting piece for me in the whole legislation was at the very end, it says there are no administrative costs associated with this proposal. So how are they enforcing it? Like camping on water is going to be hard to enforce. If they're not putting any dollars to this, then it's probably not going to be terribly effective. So that might also be something you want to consider in what you want to comment on this, that if they're going to do it, someone has to be enforcing it, otherwise it's meaningless.
Yeah, thank you, Lori, because that was my concern, enforcement. Okay, member Burkett, then member Taylor.
Through the chair to Madam CAO, that's a great question, because I think there's only one officer for this whole area that comes out of the Midhurst. So they don't own a boat, as far as I know. So is that a question we should ask as part of the motion, or should we just leave it alone?
I think we can take it as staff direction, but I think the direction should be that we write some comments, and I think I've got a good idea of what the comments should be. Okay. But enforcement would be my number one concern for sure.
Member Taylor.
Yeah, but once again, this came from the M&R provincial. That's their job. And I do agree, 300 meters seems like a long way away, but it's, to me, I was threatening some of the councillors, maybe we'll pull one of these floating accommodations in front of your house and see how you like it. But 300 meters is a long way away. But I think there's a deadline to make our comments on this thing, and we should get it in there. And the 300 meters might be something that we can think about, but it's a good start to go from 21 days to 7 days and then move it a kilometer away. So I think it's a good start, and I think we should support this in principle. But we can maybe get the wording correct with the help of the CAO here.
Madam CEO.
Thanks. I missed another important thing. They've got a contradiction in what they're proposing. One of the, I think about the third last line says there might be a benefit to marinas if occupants of floating homes opt to moor overnight at marinas as an alternative to occupying public land when they have exhausted their 7 days. Except early on, they say that floating accommodations are not permitted to camp. So I'm not, so they've got some inconsistencies in their document as well that
and
we will address.
Thank you.
Yes.
I would like to speak to the mooring, the boat mooring, and I understand completely both sides of that because I was a boater, and I understand cottagers because if you have a nice quiet bay, you could wake up on a Saturday morning with 30 boats moored out in front of your place. So I get the fact that boaters are upset because they want to be able to moor for free. But I also get the fact that it's very rude when you have a cottage to go out and 50 feet away from you are 5 boats moored with their music going. So I understand both sides, but I do believe that there's some privacy and people should have some type of respect and privacy. And the other one I was quite interested in is the conditions of swim rafts, jumps, ramps, because I have seen swim rafts in the middle of bays. I have seen one raft that looked like a pirate house floating out in the middle, and that's very dangerous at night. And there didn't seem to be any way to tell the people they can't do it. But once again, this all comes down to enforcement because all those people can still do anything they want because who's going out there to stop them? So we still will get complaints. And I find it very interesting about the fact that they say that the floating cottages can moor at a marina when they're not really even considered a vessel, but that's where we live. Yes, Councillor Taylor, Member Taylor.
I just wanted to say that the OPP has a boat that's quite frequently out on Gloucester Pool and that area. So I'm sure they would be part of the enforcement.
But do they enforce M&R policies or do they just enforce
offense?
It's
provincial.
Well, would there be a good question for the inspector? Anybody else have any question? Thank you very much, Lori, for going to that webinar and having staff send in our concerns. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. So the motion reads that the Township of Severn supports the amendments to the Public Lands Act, wrong act, Public Lands Act, and that staff submit comments on the proposed regulations.
And could we please have those comments go to Adam Chambers?
Certainly.
Because he's federal and he needs to be aware of this and our concerns.
Yeah.
Member Briquette.
Thank you, through Madam Chair, to Lori. Was Georgian Bay on the call, Lori, did you notice if there was someone from Georgian Bay?
Go ahead, Madam.
Through the chair, I'm honestly not sure, Mayor Briquette. There was a lot of people on the call and the questions were dominated by voters. So if they were on, they didn't speak. I did look through the list and I didn't see them, but it was a lengthy list, so I couldn't. And there were also 2 sessions, so I just did one.
Oh.
So they may have been in the other one.
Okay. Member Minnings.
Hi, thank you. Through the chair to our CAO, will the response that you're drafting also mention or include response from the OPP to clarify that? Because once we start getting calls from our constituents and voters and residents, et cetera, it would be nice to know what the role of the OPP is in this.
Go ahead, Madam CEO.
So it's an ERO posting, so you just provide comments. So I doubt that they will respond, but remembering that the Trent Severn is not regulated by this, so it doesn't really have great application to us other than letting the federal government know that we're also we would like them to do something like that. So I'm not sure I can answer that question specifically, Member Minnings. But we will definitely comment that we're concerned about enforcement, and they need to consider, how is that going to be enforced? Because you need people, you need a boat, you need resources.
Member Minnings.
Thank you. So then subsequent through the chair, how does this regulation or amendment to the regulation assist or respond to the members of Gloucester's Pool specifically who have brought these floating cottage concerns to our attention, if it's outside of? Thank you.
Go ahead, Madam CEO.
Through the chair, it does not. It's a start. I mean, it's a start that the provincial government is looking at it, and the federal government has to join on, but it really doesn't offer anything to Gloucester Pool.
Member McIntyre.
Through the chair, wouldn't you agree that everybody should get this, all the municipalities? Because we've got Lake Couchiching, and not only the Severn River, but everywhere is affected by these floating cottages. And I think every municipality in the province should be getting something, not just Adam Chambers, but everyone. I think, they have the same concerns as we do over in Wabashine as we have here. So I think, and of course in Wanda's area too, where they could float up on Georgian Bay or in Couchiching and park anywhere. So I think everybody should be notified about our concerns, and then we'll probably hear back from them about theirs once they've all read this report that Lori's giving us here today. So, and the one that's on the agenda. So everyone should be notified, is my view.
Okay, Madam CEO.
Thank you. Through the chair. So this is a Ontario-wide posting, so municipalities would already be aware. It's just posted for municipalities to provide comments. So we would provide our comments, and the other municipalities would provide their own.
Through the chair, will that go back to everyone? All municipalities, our comments?
They so choose.
Through the chair, ERO, I think the ERO comment process is public. I'm sure it is, so people can go on and read it. We wouldn't necessarily share it with all of Ontario, but it's a public process available for them to see.
Okay.
Were there any more questions or concerns? Okay. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. So the motion reads that the Township of Severn supports the amendments to the Public Lands Act, and the staff submit comments on the proposed regulation with a copy of the comments provided to Adam Chambers MP.
Should we include MPP Dunlop?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Member Taylor, seconded by Member Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Would you like a 5-minute break or something before we go into camera? Would that be all right? Or are you all right to go out, carry on?
5-minute break.
Okay.
5-minute break.
Okay, thank you. We'll be back at between 22 and 1:45. Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, I guess we're going into closed session.
Yes, so the motion reads that committee resolving in closed session that the meeting is hereby now closed to the public pursuant to the Municipal Act, SO 2001, Chapter 25, Section 2392, for the purpose of considering advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and a position, plan, or procedure, or criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Member Taylor, seconded by Member Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Mover and a seconder, please, to come on, right?
Yep.
To come on. Okay, moved by McIntyre, seconded by Jansen.
Okay, so the motion will read that the closed session adjourn at 11:01 a.m.
Okay.
And that was member McIntyre and Jansen.
Yes.
Okay. Motion will read that the planning report number 2023-009 regarding annexation preparedness dated March 15th, 2023 be received and the staff proceed as directed.
And Nadine, mover and seconder? Yes. Moved by member Taylor, second by member McIntyre. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried.
Okay.
Come, I got law and order on my screen.
You got a who?
Law and order. I got a split screen. I don't know what happened there.
Well, we're almost done, your worship.
Did you migrate?
I didn't touch anything. It just come up.
I meant that word they used yesterday, the migrate.
Oh, no, it's on the other computer.
All right, so final motion for today just reads that this meeting be and is hereby now adjourned at 11:02 a.m.
Mover to seconder. Moved by member Brennan, seconded by member Jansen. All in favor? Carried, and I want to thank everyone and thank staff too, and everyone on committee. Enjoy your day. It's supposed to be a nice one. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.